Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Evidence, and in today's video I am going to show you how to set up SSH key in GitHub. So to begin, I'm first gonna show you what will happen if you don't have SSH key. So right now in my GitHub, I don't have SSH key set up. Whenever I clone something from GitHub or clone or push something to GitHub, I don't use SSH, I use HTTPS. And SSH is supposed to be like a safer connection. So to begin, I'm first gonna clone this repo, and as in this case I'm using HTTPS as you can see here. SSH, as you can see, I don't have any SSH key set up. And you can use the GitHub CLI also, but I'm just gonna use HTTPS, and I'm gonna copy this. And let's go here. So here I am going to clone this GitHub repo that I just copied. So I'm just gonna do git clone. Alright. And here we have that repo handy code script. And here I'm just gonna cd. Alright, so I'm just gonna make a few changes to this, and then I'm gonna try to upload it online again, so you see how HTTPS works versus using SSH. So alright, so I'm just gonna make a few changes here, and I'm just gonna say something like, as you can see, this file has been modified now, and I'm just gonna go back here and do get status. As you can see, this has been modified. Now I'm gonna commit this message and push it online, and then you'll be able to see uploading stuff without SSH. So I'm just gonna do git add, git commit. I'm gonna do git push upstream origin master. I believe that's this thing. Repo. As you can see here, it's using HTTP connection. So without having SSH key set up, this is how it uploads stuff online. It's using HTTP connection. This is for GitHub. Now if we go back to GitHub here and refresh this, as you can see, this is the new comment that I made. Now let's go ahead and create SSH key for my GitHub account. So to create SSH key for your GitHub account, you click on your icon, then you click on settings, and then you click on SSH and GPG keys. And once you are here, you have to click new SSH key to add your SSH key. But before we do that, we first have to generate SSH key. So let's go ahead and click this, right click, opening a new tab. And here it says connecting to GitHub with SSH. And if you are here on this link, you want to click the one that says generating a new SSH key. Alright, so we are on Windows. So if you're on Windows like me, you can use this. If you are on Windows subsystem for Linux, you can use the Linux instructions. And the instructions for adding SSH to Linux is a little bit different than the instructions to adding SSH to Windows. So this video, I'm just gonna focus on adding SSH for Windows, and in the next video I am gonna show you how to add SSH for Linux. The instructions are very similar, but if you're on Windows subsystem for Linux, the code you type in is a little bit different. So the next video will be focused on Windows subsystem for Linux. But right now, let's just focus on adding SSH to Windows. As you can see here, it tells you to open Git Bash and paste this, and then you replace your email at example.com with your GitHub email address. Let's go ahead and do that and see what error messages we get, if any. So first I am gonna try this using the Windows terminal. So it's here, it tells you to use Git Bash, but I'm gonna try it just using Windows command prompt, and if it doesn't work using Windows command prompt, then I'll switch to Git Bash. So I went ahead and copied the code that we're supposed to be using, and then you follow up with your email. So basically do SSH key GNT and then this code right here, and then your email, your GitHub email address. So I have my GitHub, my actual email on GitHub as private. So I'm gonna try to do it using my public GitHub email address. So once you do that, once you enter that, it will say generating public private EDH key pair. All right. So first you type in this code SSH key gen ETED25519-C GitHub email, and you can use your public GitHub email address if you have your actual email address private on GitHub. And then it says enter file in which to save the key. In this case, I'm just gonna press enter and it's gonna save it in this directory. It's gonna save it in the user samsung.ssh directory. So it created a directory user samsung/.ssh, and then you're going to enter a passphrase. If you don't enter a passphrase, you can leave this empty. But personally, I'm going to enter a passphrase just because. Why not? Make sure you enter something simple, easy, and something you can easily remember, because you're going to be using this passphrase a lot. So you're going to enter your passphrase again. Alright, so basically the first part is done. We have an SSH key. We are going to start the SSH agent, and then we are going to add our SSH private key to this SSH agent. And I'm gonna show you how to do that, okay? But before we do that, let's go ahead and look at SSH. So if I go back here, if I go ahead and do cd, so if I go back to my root directory here, which is Samsung, and from here I could do cd.ssh and do ls. As you can see here in this directory .ssh, there are two files. There's id this is your private key, and then there's id this is your public key, the key that you add to GitHub. So we want to open this file to see what it looks like. And it's very important that you know how to open this. So basically go to your root directory and go to .ssh, and if after you write this code here that says SSH key gen and then your email address, it will tell you which directory your SSH folder is located in. So mine is located at user/Samsung, right? And it says your authentication has been saved in. And so you want to go to that directory, and then once you are here, you want to do something like code. So basically, I am going to open this SSH file, and this is my public key that I'm opening right now. And I'm opening it using Microsoft VS Code. So this is my public SSH key, and this is what I'm going to add to GitHub. So we're gonna leave this right here, and then we are gonna go back here to start the SSH agent so that we can add our private key to our SSH agent. All right. So to start the SSH agent in Windows, you do eval, and then you type in SSH agent S and you press enter. It says eval is not recognized as an internal or external command. This is why you use git Bash, right? So you can use Windows command prompt, but commands such as eval is not recognized in Windows. So this is why you use Git Bash, because Git Bash recognizes this command. So go ahead and download Git Bash if you don't have it already. And I already have Git Bash, so I'll go ahead and open Git Bash. Alright, so this is Git Bash. I'll go ahead and minimize this for now. Alright, so I just made my Git Bash console a little bit better, a little bit bigger, so you can see it a little bit better. So my working directory is user/Samsung. Since I am in user/Samsung, I'll go ahead and go to the SSH folder, and once I am here, and I'm gonna do ls. As you can see here, this is my private SSH key and this is my public SSH key. Now that I am in this folder, I am gonna do SSH. I'm gonna start the SSH agent again. So I'm gonna do eval SSH agent. Yes, and basically this means to silently start the SSH agent. Okay, this is a way to start it. So as you can see, the command went through and we got a response, agent PID 12604, and you couldn't do this in Windows command prompt because Windows command prompt doesn't recognize the command eval. This is why you use Git Bash instead of Windows command prompt. So now that we have it, let's go ahead and add our SSH private key to our SSH agent. And to do that, we do SSH add .ssh. Well, I'm already here in this SSH folder, so I don't need to do this step right here. But if you were just in any directory, you will use this. But since I am already in .ssh folder, I don't need .ssh here. I can just do add id that, and then it's gonna ask me for passphrase. Remember, when you set up your SSH key, you enter the passphrase. You have to enter it again here. That's why I said to use something simple. So now this private key has been added to my SSH agent. Now we need to add the public key to GitHub. So let's go back to VS Code here. And let's go ahead and copy this. Now let's go back to GitHub. So now that we are in GitHub, all right, let's go back to SSH and let's do new SSH key. And let me just call this Samsung desktop. All right, so I like to give my SSH keys descriptive names because in this situation, this is just for my Windows desktop, and I am gonna set up SSH for Windows subsystem for Linux. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you get that video. But when I do that, I want to give it a descriptive name so that I'll make sure to keep them straight, which key is which. So with that done, let's go ahead and add SSH. Oh, you have to confirm your password, and luckily for me, I don't remember my password. I use LastPass for my passwords. All right, so I just added my SSH key to this. Now that I've added this SSH key, let's go ahead and see if it works, right? That's kind of like the whole point of adding SSH. So let's go ahead and test it. So I'm just gonna do the same operation I did before. Here I am going to delete this repo, the handy code script repo that I pulled online. I'm gonna delete it locally, and then we are going to pull it again. And here, as you can see, I don't have the handy code scripts repo again because I deleted it. So let's go ahead and clone it again. So let's go ahead and refresh this page. And I'm just gonna do clone. As you can see now, when I click on SSH, there is an option for me to use SSH. Before, like I showed you, there wasn't any SSH option. Now I can use SSH. So let me go ahead and copy this. And let's see if it works, right? So let's go ahead and git clone. Now it is gonna ask me if I want to continue. I'm gonna say yes. So basically, right, the first time you do you clone using your SSH key, is gonna ask you if you want to add GitHub to your known SSH client, and you're gonna say yes. And then now it's gonna ask you for your SSH password, which you enter. You press enter, boom, right there. It's just cloned my GitHub repo using SSH. Now let's go ahead and do dir. And just right there, we have handy code script. The repo we cloned using SSH. Now let's go ahead and make changes to it, and we're gonna push it back onto GitHub using SSH. All right. So let's do cd and open it using VS Code. So I just added a few more lines of code to make changes to the README. Let's go ahead and Control save. And this has been modified. Now let's go back and try to push this back to GitHub. And we are going to be using SSH instead of HTTPS. So we are back in the command prompt. And here I'm just going to do git status. And as you can see, the README has been modified. I just modified it. And let's go ahead and do git add, git commit, improved README, not really. Let's say git push upstream origin master. Now, see, do you see the difference? The first time when I push to GitHub, I use HTTP, it just a push to GitHub. But now when I try to push to GitHub, all right, it tells me, hey, GitHub has been added to my list of known hosts, and it's asking for my SSH password in order to be able to push to GitHub. So I'm just going to enter my SSH password. And it worked. It was successfully pushed to GitHub using my SSH password. Now let's go back to GitHub and test it and kind of see what we have. So now we are in GitHub. Let's refresh. As you can see, this is a new change that I made, that I just added. So that's pretty cool. That is it in a nutshell of how to add SSH key to your GitHub in a Windows computer. And just to give you a quick rundown again, I'm gonna add these instructions in the description below so that you can get access to this document. But first, you type in this command here and you put in your email at example.com and you put in your actual email address. So basically for me, I have my actual email address hidden as private on GitHub. So GitHub generates a public email address for you, and you can use that public email address right here. And if you're on Windows, because this is Windows instruction, make sure you're using Git Bash. Like I showed you, you can do this first step from Windows command prompt, but then when you get to this point where you have to make sure that your SSH agent is running, so you'll be able to add your SSH private key, you have to use Git Bash for this because Windows command prompt doesn't understand the eval command. So it's just a good idea to have Git Bash. Go ahead and download Git Bash. So first, you generate the key and you navigate to the .ssh folder that was created for you as a result. And then enter a passphrase. You don't have to enter anything if you don't want to have a passphrase. You can just press enter instead of entering a passphrase. Then you navigate to the folder, to the .ssh folder. And once you navigate to the .ssh folder, you open the public key and you copy that public key to GitHub. And then you run this command to verify that your SSH agent is running. And once you run that command, you add your private key to your SSH agent. And the first time you clone using SSH, your computer is going to ask you that, hey, GitHub is not a known host. Are you sure you want to permanently add GitHub to a known host? And you're going to say yes. And then you'll be able to add GitHub to your host on your local computer. So you'll be able to use SSH to communicate with GitHub from your local computer. Like I said, in the next video, I am going to show you how to establish SSH for Windows subsystem for Linux for GitHub. And also in the upcoming videos, I am going to show you how to add SSH to your Bitbucket account. So some people use something like Bitbucket instead of GitHub. In upcoming videos, I'm going to show you how to add SSH key to Bitbucket. If you like this video and if you want more videos like this, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And please share this video with somebody else who's going to find it helpful. You can find me online at evidencen.com. That's my primary website where I have my data science blogs. And as time goes by, I will add more stuff to data science blog posts. And if you click on here, you can get my free data science resources. And as I create more and more data science content, I will add it. I will usually have my notebooks in this platform right here, and you can sign up. And I usually send weekly emails, kind of giving people updates about what new content I have coming out. And also you can support my work by going to machinelearningeducation.com, and here you can support my work however way you see fit. And in the future, I might change this website. So if you come here to machinelearningeducation.com and you don't see this page, it's the link to support my work will be somewhere up here. That's pretty much it for this video. I hope you like it, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Bye.